everybody, this is Gina. Today I want to show you how to make these little dainty stackable bracelets. I think I'm going to call them sparkling stackable bracelets or something like that. This is a base I was making for a bracelet for the amber and aqua and champagne and sapphire treasure bags. So this is the next tutorial we'll be doing with the treasure bags. But I was making the base and it was so cute that I decided that instead of making it so plain, I'd add a crystal on it, because on this one I go through the base with an 8/0 seed bead. On this one I'm going through with crystals, and I thought it was so cute all by itself that they would make really nice little stackable bracelets. So that's what I'm going to show you today. And then in the very next tutorial I will show you how to make several other bracelets with the base that we're making today on this bracelet. So not only am I showing you how to do it with the treasure bag, I'm going to show you how to do it with several different other types of beads so that you can make that bracelet also. But this is what we're doing today, these little tiny stackable bracelets, and you can see how cute they are. And you can make these, of course, much more colorful than I have. I've just done a couple one in pink and one in an iris green and one in an aqua with the gold, so it contrasts on my wrist, and I think it turns out really cute. You can do this with anything that's in your stash. It's very basic, very easy, so come along and let's see what it takes to make this bracelet. Okay, for this tutorial we will be using 8/0 and 11/0 seed beads. I have a Starlight, and it is Toho galvanized permanent finish, and then I have Montana Gold 11/0s. I am also going to be using about 4mm jump rings and a 6 to 8mm jump ring for your clasping, and a lobster claw clasp. I will also be using 2 small wire guardians. So this is what a wire guardian looks like, and this is a size 1, and they're just little tiny horseshoe shaped little components that have tubes on either side, and we'll be using those for our clasping area. You'll need 2 of those. Now for your embellishment, your crystal element to this bracelet, you can use, on this one I used a 3x2, and I'll let you see it close up. It's a 3x2 Rondelle, and this one is green iris. And on this one I used a 3x2.5 Rondelle, and this is a pink. So you can see that you can change out your embellishment. You can also use just a different color 8/0 seed bead on this too and make it all seed beads. So you would use your silver and maybe a turquoise color or something like that. Make the whole thing seed beads. You can do that too. Today I'm going to be using a gold color to make a contrast for my stackable set here, and then I am going to use a 3mm bicone. So this is just a deep aqua color 3mm bicone, and I'm going to use that instead of a Rondelle. So you can change these up, make all the stackables a little bit different with your embellishment, or you can make them all the same, whatever you'd like to do. You could use a color mix and make every crystal a different color. There's lots of ways to do this. These are really cute and they stack up really nice on your wrist. And like I said, I'm going to make a contrasting color to go in the middle of my 2 silver tone ones, because I used galvanized permanent finish aluminum on these, and on this one I'm going to use the Starlight color. So what else you will need is some 6-pound Fireline. You can also use 8 or 10 pound nanofill, and I'm going to use a size 12 beading needle. You will want to put onto your beading needle to start about 4 to 5 feet of thread. You will probably need to extend your thread during this project, so I will put a video in the description box beneath the video player that will have a link for you to learn from the video it's linked to. Boy, that was a mouthful. Anyway, there will be a link for a video that shows you how to do that. So if you do not know how, you can learn how to do that. So let's go ahead and get started on this project. Okay, to start this bracelet, we'll want to use a stopper bead because we're going to do a little bit of 2-drop peyote to start. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a different color. I have an 8/0 seed bead that's a different color than what I'm going to be using. I'm bringing it down to the end of my thread, and I am just going to leave a small amount of thread hanging out. And then I'm going to go back through that bead and pull the thread through, tighten the tail and the working thread, and now I have a stop bead on my thread. Now to do this, we're going to do a long length of single beads, and then we're going to do a 2-drop peyote, just one time through. So what we're going to do is we're going to start picking up 8/0 seed beads, and you're going to continue picking up 8/0 seed beads until you have 70 8/0 seed beads onto your thread. Now if you want a longer or a shorter bracelet, you can do less or more beads. However, you have to have an even number of beads on to your thread. So I'm doing 70. We're going to be using a lobster claw clasp and a wire guardian. So you can add an extension to this too if you need to make it bigger. So I would say just do the 70 beads. If you want it bigger, make an extension. If you want it smaller, then go down some beads, but make sure that it is an even number you end up with. Now my bracelet is going to be about 7.5 inches long at finish, and I will measure that and make sure and let you know by the end of the video here. But we are going to pick up 70 8/0 seed beads, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so after you have picked up your 70 8/0 seed beads, you're going to count them again, just 2, 4, 6, 8. You get the message. Do that again just to make sure you have the amount of seed beads that you wanted, and you need to make sure that, like I said before, it's an even number. Then I did measure my bracelet, and you will get about a 7.5 bracelet depending upon your size of clasping and jump rings that you use. The ones that I have used, my bracelets end up to be 7.5 inches. So to start this, we are going to pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. So just balance your long length of 8/0s in your hand. Hold on to 2 of them, or 4 of them actually, and skip the first 2, and then go into the second 2 8/0 seed beads, just like this. Now I'm going to hold on to those beads with my thumb and my finger, and I'm just going to pull the thread through until the 2 beads I added sit on top of the 2 first beads, and now I'm coming out of the second set of 2 beads here. Get you in even closer so you can see. Now we're just going to continue skipping 2 beads and going through 2 beads while adding 2 beads. So we're going to pick up 2 beads. We're coming out of these 2 here. We're going to skip these 2, and we're going to go into the next 2 beads. So I'm just going to hold on to this and pull these beads down so that they will go right on top of the 2 beads I skipped, just like this. Now I'm coming out of these 2 beads, I pick up 2 beads, I skip 2 beads, and then I go into 2 more beads. So right here, I will pull this down, and those 2 beads will go on top of the 2 beads I skipped. Let's do this a couple more times, and then we'll go to length off camera. So pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. I'm coming out of these 2, I'm skipping these 2, and I'm going into these 2 here. Right there. And then I'm just going to pull this down and line them up next to the 2 that I skipped. Let's do it again. Pick up 2 beads. We're coming out of these 2, we're going to skip these 2, and we're going to go into the next 2. And then pull. Just like that. And we're just going to continue doing that the entire length of the bracelet. This moves very quickly, and it's a very simple process. So again, coming out of 2, skipping 2, going into 2 more. Just making sure I'm in camera here, and pull. Now it'll twist and turn and do weird things. Just keep straightening it out and continue until we get to the end, and then I'll come back and show you how we will do the ending and go to our next step. Okay, so now you can see I have done my peyote all the way to the end. I'm coming out of the 2 8-0 seed beads right here before the last 2. So I've just put these 2 on, I'm exiting these 2, and you can see I only have 2 left. So what I need to do to end this is I need to pick up 2 more 8-0 seed beads. I'm going to move my stop bead just a little bit out of my way, and now with my 2 8-0s I am going to go down into the last 2 8-0s on the piece, just like this. And then I'm going to pull my thread through, and these 2 8-0s will lay over the last 2, just like this. Now we want to secure this, so we're going to take off this stopper bead. We're coming out of these 2 here. We're going to go into the 2 next to them, right here. And here, pull on your tail, make sure all of your beads are nice and tight, and then grab your working thread and your tail and tie a knot. We just want to secure both threads coming out here now. So I've tied a knot, and then I'm just going to tie another one. And this should just pop right on top of those beads, right in the center of them there, just like that. Just leave your tail there for a little bit. And actually, for good measure, if we can do it, we can just pop it through these 2 8-0s on this side and pull it down away from where we're working. And that will actually give a little bit more room for the knot not to slip out. So now we are coming out of the center here. So what we need to do is we need to go into these 2 on this side, and then come back up through these 2 so that we're positioned correctly to put on our wire guardian. So how we're going to do this now is we're going to pick up an 11-0, or 2 11-0s, excuse me, and an 8-0 seed bead and 2 11-0 seed beads onto our needle, just like this. And nope, I'm sorry, that is wrong. Ignore that. Pick up 2 11-0s and an 8-0 and drop it down to your piece, like this. Sorry about that. Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about. A lot of times, but you know. Now we're going to pick up a wire guardian, and we're going to go through one side of the wire guardian. So there's a little tube, go through it and draw this down to the 8-0 seed bead, just like this. Now we're going to go through the other side of the wire guardian, and we're going to go through just this 8-0 seed bead, just like this. So now we're going to put our thumb and finger over that, and we're going to draw our thread down. You can feel the thread go down into the divot on top of the wire guardian as you do that. Just guide it in there. And then grab a pair of flat nose or chain nose or something and squeeze your little wire guardian on the bottom very gently and close it so that it sits on top of that 8-0 seed bead really nicely, just like that. Okay, now we are going to pick up 2 more 11-0 seed beads, and we're going to go into the 8-0s on this side. Since we're coming out of that side, we're going to go into this side now. And just pull that through, just like that. And I'm just going to position everything. It wants to twist, so I'm going to try to untwist it. Get it to set fairly decently. And I think I'm going to squeeze that just one more time. Now make sure your thread, see my thread slipped down? make sure your thread does not slip out of the wire guardian. If it does, pull it up like I just did, and then guide it back into the divot on top. Then we're going to cross over into the 2/8 on the opposite side from which we're coming out, and we're going to go up through the 2 11/0s, the 8/0, and then I'm just going to go in a diagonal into the wire guardian. It just lets you pass through your beads easier if you do it this way. So I'm going in a diagonal to the tube on this side of the wire guardian, and then I'm just going to pull my thread through. Then I'm going to cross over, go into the tube on this side of the wire guardian, and the 8/0, the 2 11/0s, and the 2 8/0s on this side, just like this. I'm going to put my thumb and my finger over the wire guardian and feel that thread pop down into the wire guardian, just like that. Now you're going to do that one more time to secure your ending, and then we'll be back. So just cross over, go up through your wire guardian, come back down, and then we will come back. Okay, so now I have secured my wire guardian. I'm just going to take the tail off here. Just kind of melt it in a little bit. And now I am coming out of this bead right here with my working thread. What I want to do now is put a little embellishment on top of these 8/0 seed beads on both sides, and then we're going to work into embellishments on top of each of these double segments here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead, a crystal, and an 11/0. Now, if you're using a little bit bigger crystal, just use 15/0s for this, and that way you can use a little bit bigger crystal if you would like. So I've got 11/0 and a crystal and an 11/0. I'm coming out of the 8/0s here. I'm going to cross over, straight across, go into the 8/0 from the bottom in on this side. So I'm going straight across in a diagonal. That doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not straight if it's in a diagonal, but you know what I mean. So I'm going from this bead into these two, down this way, just like this. Then I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to do this again, maybe a little bit more clear. So I'm going to pick up an 11/0 and a crystal and an 11/0. I'm coming out of the bottom of this bead. I'm going to go into the top of this 8/0 on this side, right under the 11/0s, right here. And the same way on the other side, since I made that so clear. Jeez, Gina. Okay, pull this down, just like this. Now we've got a little embellishment on that first unit. How we're going to do it for now on is we are now coming out of these 2 8/0s. We're going to go down into the 2 8/0s right underneath the double unit there that we've just embellished, and we're going to pull our needle through. Now your thread is going to want to get caught and do weird things. Just guide it maybe a little bit more graceful than I just did, but guide it down so that you're now coming out of these 2 8/0 seed beads here. Let me back off just a little. We are now going to pick up an 11/0, a crystal, and an 11/0, and we are going to put an embellishment over each and every one of these double units. So let me get my embellishment, just like this, and I'm coming out of these 2 8/0s here. I am going to skip the double unit and go into the next straight to 11/0 or 8/0s. So right here, the single units are the ones we're going to be working in, and we're going to be placing our embellishment over the doubles, just like this. Now, sometimes this will start to twist and turn as you're doing this. You don't want to pull your embellishments too tightly, because if you do, you are going to get a lot of twisting and turning. If it does twist and turn, it's not a huge ordeal. You're just going to, as you work up the other side, you will have to kind of twist and turn with it. So, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit. So when you put this in, just make sure that your embellishments have no slack, but they're not pulled so tight as you come through your next set of beads that you're bunching your original base. So pick up an 11-0 and then a crystal and then an 11-0 and go into the next set of 8-0s. Just skipping over and laying on top of those double sets, just like this. And just continue all the way down your entire piece here. And you can see it starts to kind of twist and turn. Like I said, just try to follow it the best you can. Try to keep it as straight as you can. It's not a huge thing if it twists a little bit, because that's why we're doing it the way we're doing it, is so that when it twists on the wrist, it won't matter. So it doesn't really matter as you're doing it either. And as I get further and then we turn it over and do the same thing on the other side, you will see, I will show you what I mean about the twisting. Continue to the end and we'll be back. Okay, so now you can see I have done my embellishment all the way to the end here, except for the very end piece. So once you come out of these two 8-0s, we will have to do our ending and then start on the other side. But what I want you to do first is, it will twist and do things like this while you're working. So right now I want you to just straighten it out and just kind of give it a little bit, just pull on it a little bit, give it a little bit of slack in there. Basically, not slack, but just kind of arrange it so it's nice and straight and it's not all bunched up. By messing with it like this, you're kind of adjusting that thread inside to give it a little bit more movement so that it's straight and unbunched. Because as you're doing this, you pull on it and it gets a little bunched. So we're unbunching it. Now, if it stays a little bit curvy or a little bit twisty, that's not that big of a deal. Just make sure that you have a nice stretch to it so that you haven't decreased it in length and bunched it up. Now we're coming out of these two here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put an embellishment on either side of this last little unit. Make sure that your last unit is nice and tight and that you're not going to lose your embellishment or it's not going to be all sloppy and loose. Come up through one of the sets of your 8-0 seed beads. Pick up an 11-0 and then a crystal and then an 11-0. We're going to cross over. We're coming out of this top 8-0 here. We're going to go into the bottom 8-0 on this side. So up through this one and the one on top, just like this, and pull this embellishment across. Now, turn your piece over and pick up an 11-0 and a crystal and an 11-0, and we're coming out of this one, out this way. We are now going to go up into the two on this side from the bottom up. Here, at a diagonal, and pull this embellishment down. Now look at your embellishments on both sides and the first one here, and make sure everything is nice and tight. And then we're going to set that embellishment by sewing through these 8-0s. So we are coming out of this one, come down into the two on this side here. Get you in close. And then just cross over and go into the set on this side, going up and out here. Make sure your thread doesn't get caught on anything and just pull that. Now your embellishments are set and you don't have to worry about it too much. And when I was talking about the twisting, you can see how it's twisting as I do this. And now I have an embellishment on the wrong side according to the way I did it before. So I can just twist it back, or we can just work with the twist. And I'll show you what I mean. First, let's put on a couple of, let's put on our ending here. So we're going to pick up two 11-0s and then we're going to pick up an 8-0 and drop it down. Then we're going to pick up a water guardian. Yes, a water guardian, Gina. Great. Okay, we're going to go up through the wire guardian right here and drop it down. Then we're going to go back through the wire guardian on the opposite side and through the 8/0, just like this. And put your thumb and finger over it, pull it all together, draw it down towards that 8/0 seed bead, and then pick up 2 11/0s. And go into the open set of 8/0s on the opposite side from which you started. Right there. It's going to twist and be weird, but once you do it, it'll be all right. So what I did was I accidentally went through one of these 11/0s when I pulled through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out. I'm going to take off these 2 11/0s here. And I'm going to back my thread out of this 11/0. So you do not want to go through the 11/0s at all. And now I have to fix my thread on my wire guardian too. So let's fix this. And now this is where we were at. We have 2 11/0s. We've gone up around the wire guardian. We're coming out of the wire guardian now. We pick up 2 11/0s, and then we go into the open set of 8/0s in the unit you just embellished with the crystal. So go into this side. Make sure your thread stays in that wire guardian. Cross over the 8/0s to the other side, the open 8/0s, and go back through again at the diagonal like I showed you before. Pull this through and then go back in on this side. Now with your embellishment on, it's probably a little bit harder for you to see what I'm doing, but when it's in your hand, you'll be able to determine where you're at. Now you can sew back through that one more time if you'd like and make sure it's nice and secure, but at this point I think it's fine, so I'm just going to move on to keep my video from being too long. So now I'm coming out of these 2 8/0s. I have to go through the 2 beneath them. Slide my needle through these 2 here. Pull through and tighten everything up. And now I can begin my embellishment on this side. And as I said, things twisted, so as I'm working, I'll just twist towards me the part that doesn't already have a crystal on it. So as you're working through, you're just going to have to twist and follow the side that is open and ready for a embellishment. Twist the embellishment that you've already done to the other side so that you can continue working. So now you've got 2 11/0s, a crystal, and an 11/0. Go down into the 2 8/0s beneath the 2 double that you're skipping, and then go pull your embellishment down. Now again, I have to turn this, and I'll just turn it the best I can. If I just have to turn the whole piece, I will. If I can turn the embellishment itself, I will. However, just so I can get to that open side. And then I'm going to pick up my embellishment. I'm going to skip over this double unit and go into the 2 here. Since I have a crystal up here, I'm going to exit towards the back so that I'll be in position to do the proper side on the next one. So now, since I exited towards the back, I can just turn it and I can get to the open side and embellish it. There's just no way you're going to keep it completely straight, and it doesn't matter, like I said, if it twists, because this is kind of designed to kind of twist and turn and look the same all the way around, so that on your wrist it will be double-sided. So just follow it around, pick up another embellishment, skip the double embellish or the double 8/0 set, and go into the next 2 straight 8/0s and pull. Now if it twists, just untwist it and then pull it so it's nice and neat on top of that double set. And then just continue working all the way down to the end. Once we get to the very end, I will show you how to tie off. We'll put our clasping on, and that will be that. Okay, so now you can see I've done my embellishment on both sides, And now I'm just going to, again, kind of just gently work it to make sure it's not bunched and the 8/0s are laying pretty nicely in the original line here. And now I'm going to put on my last embellishment here. So I have my one little double unit left here. So I am going to go up into these two 8/0 seed beads right above that unit and right beneath the unit that has the clasping on it, and pull this last embellishment into place and untwist it, because of course it's got to twist. There we go. Get it on there nice and neat. And then I am going to attempt to sew back through my clasping around my wire guardian and bring my thread back through on this side. So I'm coming out of these two 8/0s. I'm going to go into the two 8/0s here, the two 11/0s on this side also. And then I'm going to exit and pull my thread through. Then I am going to go up through this 8/0 seed bead and into the wire guardian here. You can go do the diagonal thing again if you want, but with all this embellishment on it, it makes it a little bit harder to navigate, so I'm just doing it straight across. Then I'm going to go into this side and the 8/0, and I'm going to exit the 8/0. I'm going to hold on to that wire guardian and guide my thread in, and then I'm going to go into the two 11/0s on this side and the two 8/0s beneath them, just like this, and pull my thread through. Okay, so now we are going to tie this off. I have way too much thread. I'm going to trim this a little because when I extended, boy, I really extended it. So now I'm coming out of this 8/0 seed bead right here. I'm going to get you in close. And I am going to go into the next two 8/0s right underneath and exit right here. Okay, so right between this 8/0 and between the embellishment and the 8/0 here, right here, I am going to go between the beads, and then I'm going to create a loop. Once I've created a loop, I'm going to go through it, and then I'm going to arrange it so that my thread is all in the same spot right between these beads here, so that I don't have a loop over my beads. And then I'm just going to draw my knot down onto that little thread bridge between the 8/0 and the 8/0s that come out here and the straight 8/0s. Then I'm going to go into the next set of 8/0s and the next straight set of 8/0s here. And again, between this straight set and this side set, I'm going to bring my needle down between the beads right here and create a loop, go through the loop, and draw my thread down on that thread bridge. And I will just go through a couple sets again. So I'll go through the side set of 8/0s here. Well, come on, thread. Stop it. Oh, truly. Okay, now I'm going to go through one more straight set, and maybe these two, just a few beads. I'm just going to draw my thread through and cut it off. All right, so now I can straighten him up and kind of give him some flexibility by wrapping it around my fingers a little bit and making it look halfway decent, because it gets kind of crumply as you're working it. So you just want to uncrumple it. And then we are going to put on some clasping. So this is what it looks like so far. Like I said, I can work with it and kind of uncrumple it, make it look a little bit better. But on the wrist, it looks great. Laying out, it may look a little funky, and that's okay. On the wrist, it looks fantastic, and that's what matters. So now we're going to pick up 2 of our jump rings, and let's see if I have a smaller jump ring than that. That's the smallest I have. If I had a little smaller, I would use even a little smaller jump ring, but I'm just going to go ahead and open one. So the opening's here on my jump ring. I'm going to place a plier on either side of the opening, bead mat all over my stuff, and just crank it open like that. And then I'm going to put on my lobster claw on the jump ring and close the jump ring. So just put it through your wire guardian, and that's what you should end up with. And then on the other side, you can either just put your big jump ring right in there if you don't want the extra length, or you can open a small jump ring and put it on the wire guardian, and then, excuse me, had to sneeze, and then close the small jump ring. Now that might add too much space for me. If it does, then I'll just take off that extra jump ring and put the big jump ring right into the wire guardian, and that will be my clasping. So now I'm just going to kind of straighten him up a little bit. Like I said, they get kind of funny looking, and straighten it up, make it look nice, and then I can add it with my other 2, and you can see how pretty the stacking will be. And I'll put it on my wrist and show you too what the stacks look like, but I'll put the gold one in between and put them on, and look at how cute those are. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on my wrist so you can see what it looks like, because it looks so much prettier on the wrist. And then I will show you, and when we come back, and that will be that. And here, my friends, are what they look like on the wrist. And I think they're really cute. You can make these very bright and colorful. I kept my 2 silver ones kind of mellow with very translucent beads. I used a translucent 11-0 on this one. It's a rainbow black diamond. And I used a green iris 3x2, and on this one I used a 11-0 in the Montana gold, but I used a translucent pink 3x2.5. So they are very, you know, very subtle looking sparkle, whereas with this one, with the contrast of the yellow and the aqua color, it pops quite a bit. So you can do this all in seed beads too. Instead of putting a crystal, you put 11-0, an 8-0 in another color, and an 11-0, and you can make a whole bunch of them very colorful. You can use all different colors of beads in this, so you could use a bunch of different colors of crystals. You can make them a million different ways and stack them all up or give them away as gifts to your granddaughters or daughters, kids. Everybody loves a little tiny bracelet like this. So anyway, this is what we've done, and through this design, I've designed another bracelet with the treasure bag. So I will be coming back with that so that you can see what it looks like to make this bracelet with some embellishments. And I've done it in several different things so that if you don't have the treasure bag, you can still do the bracelet that I make from this basic bracelet that I just showed you. So in the next tutorial, that's what you'll see. I hope you stay tuned, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.